to make a relatively easy pop-up card, and this is the one I made a couple of days ago, and it just says Hello Spring, and then you open it up and it has this cool little mechanism. This is what it looks like from the top and the bottom. And these are just little print and cut that I made on these instead of doing fussy cuts. And let's get started, y'all. The first thing you're gonna need is a piece of cardstock that measures 11 by 7, and you're gonna score it in the middle at 5.5. And then also, if you have the file and you're using my file that I created on Design Space, then it'll already be there. But if you're doing it by hand, we're gonna measure down 1 inch and 1/4 down, and we're gonna draw or score a line right over the center of our score line, and then turn it this way and do the same thing. Measure 1 inch and 1/4, and then we're gonna draw or score a line here, and we're gonna use this guide with the mechanism we're gonna place later. On this card, I decided I wanted to use 2 designer sheets of paper. On this one, you can see that I only used 1 piece of designer paper, and you don't have to, but if you do, I'm going to give you the measurements. The first one, the bigger one, the designer paper measures 5 1/4 by 6 3/4, and you'll need 4 sheets of these. And then if you want to do the smaller one also, you'll need 4 of those also, and these measure 4 7/8 by 6 1/4. You'll need that. And then you're also going to need 4 of these little squares, which is going to go on your small card base of your pop-up mechanism. But these measure 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and you'll need 4 of these. You'll need, of the smaller base cards, you're going to need just 2, and you're gonna measure these and cut at 6 1/4 and 3 1/4, and then you're gonna score it in the middle at 3 1/8. Okay, and 2 of these in case I didn't say it. And then the next thing we're going to need is 4 of these, which is going to go on our mechanism just to give it some little cute added. But it measures 7/8 by 2 3/8. And all you're going to do on this piece, if you're doing it by hand, is take it, and we're going to just cut from one end to the corner. Okay, and then we're going to turn it and do the same thing again. From this corner, just do a straight cut. I shouldn't say straight, diagonal. All right, and you'll end up with the diagonal pieces, and you're going to need to do 4 of these. Alrighty. Okay, now we need 2 of the mechanisms cut out, and if you're using the file, it's already in there, but I want to show how to do it if you're not going to use the file. So the first thing we're going to need is a piece of paper, and it's going to be cut to 5 1/8 by 3 5/8. And you'll need 2 of those cut out. And then what we're going to do, we're going to score it at 1 inch on the long side, which is the 5 1/8 side, 1 inch, 2 inches, 2 5/8, 3 5/8, and 4 1/4. And then we're going to turn it to the short end, and then we're going to score it at 1 inch and then 2 inches. Now let's turn it back to the long side. Now we're going to go to the second score line, which is at 2 inches, and we're going to go down to the 2 inch score line that's running horizontally. Now on that score line from the 2 inch horizontally down, draw a line or score a line, whichever is easier. And then we're going to turn it, and from this line back, which is on the 2 inch score line, score or draw a line and then score it. Okay? Then still we're going to go back long ways. At the 1 inch mark, score or draw your line down to the first 1 inch line. So you're going to score 1 inch and stop or draw. And then from this point diagonally go over to that corner. Okay? Now all of these, the ones we just drew or score, you're going to want to cut it off. And the same thing for the 1 inch and then the cut that's diagonal. Just snip that right off. And then your piece should look like so. Okay? Then what we're going to do, let's turn it this way. And you're going to see 2 squares side by side. And you're going to draw, you're going to need to score it. But from this corner down, score. Okay, and then this corner, down, score. So you should have something that looks like so. Then you're going to see 2 smaller squares. We're going to skip that and go to the next one and do the same thing. From the corner, the top corner to the bottom corner, score or draw a line. It needs to be scored. And then the same thing on the other side. So now you should have 2 that looks like so. I'm just drawing it so you can see. And then we're going to skip 2 more boxes, skip these, go to the next one and do the exact same thing again. From the top corner down to the opposite corner. So now you should have, it looks like 3 arrows. Now we're going to turn it, set it like this, and the same thing. From this corner down diagonally, we're going to score it. And then from this corner down, score. And this one should already be scored from that. And this is cut off. So this is what should be scored. when you're finished. All of this should look like, yours should look like this. Okay? And that's that piece. All right, now we're gonna work on the mechanism part. So first thing we're gonna do is work on the long side. So we're just gonna take it and fold it in half. Okay, so it should look like so. And then what we're going to do is work with these two first triangle score lines. And how we're going to do that is fold it in like so on the score line. Okay? Can you see that? So you want to fold it like so in half down that score line, and then do the other one the same way. Fold it so it looks like you almost have a little triangle on the outside. Okay, then once you have that, we're just gonna pop it up and fold it in half. So it should look like so. Okay, and then the next one we're going to fold this down, the next triangle score line I should say. We're going to fold it downward. Same thing with this side. Okay. Then we're just going to fold it all in half. Alright. So yours should look something like so. And you should be able to, at this point, fold this like so. So it looks like this folded up. And then we're going to go to the third triangle. And what we're going to do is on this score line, fold it under. So it should look like this on the back. Okay. And then the same thing with this score line. We're just going to fold it right underneath. So now we should have something that looks like so. Now we're going to unfold it all. Then turn it like so. And then on this triangle, we're going to fold the flaps down again. Okay. And do the other side too. So now you should have something that looks like this on the short end. So now let's just fold them all up all together. On the 22nd, Hulu subscribers can watch the third season of Nat Geo's anthology series about the Queen of Soul, Genius Aretha. The parental comedy Breeders is back for season 3. You can stream the premiere on Hulu March 23rd. So we fold it off. It should look like this. Wraps up their season on the 26th, and you get the Hulu original comedy Solar Opposites season 2. I'm just gonna give it a good crease over. Plus next week, the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. And then we're going to open it up, back up all again. Then turn it over. And we're going to fold this in half, the long part in half. And just on this small triangle right here, we're going to place some glue. So again, we've turned it completely over so the score lines are down. We're folding this in half, and just on this triangle, we're going to place some glue. And then once we have the glue, we're just going to take this flap, make sure this is tucked, your triangle's tucked in, like so. We're going to tuck it in like this. There's the glue. And we're going to just fold it down. And so we should have something that looks like so. Okay. So far, so good. Now we're going to take this, our long piece, and just fold it all up again. Excuse me. Should have this right here. And that's our little piece. Okay, now what we're going to do is get our base card. We're just going to score it or fold it down our score line. So we should have that, and then I'm going to put on the two designer pages. Remember, this top one is not necessary. I just wanted to try it out, and I think it would be cute. And we're just going to give this some glue. It should look something like so. Alright, now we're going to take our mechanism part, and on the side that we glued down, which is this side, we're going to take and glue our little decorated pieces on. And turn it over and do the other side. And it should look like so. And let's do the next one. And that's how it should look. Okay, now let's get these put in. So this is where our line becomes important. So these help us too to know to place it. These are going to end up facing each other. So we want them on the bottom score line. That is where we're going to place the bottom of the mechanism, right on that score line, like so. Okay. And then on the top one, this line is gonna hit here. Before we get started on that, what I'd really like to do is get our cards together, because before we completely glue our cards down, our mechanism down, we're going to need to put these in. So right now I'm just folding to whichever side you'd like. And then we're gonna awesome. We'll set these aside. So I'm gonna start with the bottom one. And remember, this area right here is the only place we are going to put glue. So stay within this area. And this corner is what we're gonna line up on our score line that we made so we would know where to place this. And I'm just gonna line it up again and make sure it looks right. Which it just, to me. So I'm gonna put glue on. And I'm gonna line it up. The bottom point here on the score line that we made. And give it a rub down. I'm gonna shut it and rub it. And then it should look like one side should be not glued yet. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing. Remember, the pretty paper, the designer paper, faces each other. And then the top one, we're going to line up on the score line. But before I lay mine down, just to make sure, I want to see how this is looking. So we don't want to go past our edge here. Scoot that down just a little. Just checking everything out, making sure it looks pretty good. Oh yeah. See how we're lining up? Let me hold this down so you can see. We're gonna have a nice little space right there. So we're looking good. So again, only in this area are we gonna put glue. And we're gonna line this top point as close as we can on our score line. And then once we have it lined up, we're gonna give it a rub down. All right, so now we should be to the spot where we have these glued to one of our sides. I have mine on the right. And I like to take these little cards and just line it up to make sure everything's looking in order before I permanently put it down. And that's approximately, you know, how much space should be between them. Could be a little more, a little less. I just don't like mine coming over this edge. So I'm liking the way that looks. So I'm gonna open my little triangles here And what we're gonna do is put some glue in the triangles on each side. And I do them both at the same time. And we're just going to take our card and stick it right in the center of our fold. And just give it a rub down on the Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with the top one. Once you have that on, we're going to take our other little mechanism card and put it in our mechanism. I like to fold it down. See, I have it laid down like so, and kind of get an idea. Make sure nothing's at the top. There we go. And give it a rub down. Take our glue and just in this area and in this area only put glue. And then once we get this spread around, we're just gonna put this down and it should line it perfectly. You know, make sure it's set before we open it up. And then we have our little card. I like to see how mine's coming up a little. It's not quite set. So sometimes, you know, giving it a little bit more time. Now, isn't that just the cutest little card? Now you just have to decide what you're going to put in it. And there you go. Thanks for coming along and doing this card with me. I hope y'all like it, and I hope you have fun, and look forward to seeing others' creations of what they make of it. Alright, this is what I ended up doing with mine. And I just love how this pop-up mechanism works. But I can't wait to see yours, and thanks for crafting with me, Jay-Z.